Uh, People always say that mornings are for reflection. My mother used to stumble around and in the early morning light, white bathrobe, messily knotted hair, cup of coffee streaming into her face, muttering how mornings are for silence and contemplation. But yeah, I'm definitely not one of those people. No. Mornings for me are made up of squawking birds and tripping over sneakers and turning over couch cushions to find lost keys. No peace, no contemplation to be found. No, that's afternoons. When the sun will dip down, all golden and hazy, and the birds will call out to each other from all across the magnolia branches. But most importantly, I can go to my garden. It's nothing magical or Monet, just some rows of sprouting herbs and tilled soil to keep my attention preoccupied for a few moments out of the day. But I didn't always like gardens though. When I was about 6 or 7, my mother's garden absolutely scared the shit out of me. We were rooting for carrots in this patch, pulling out the sprouted greens and smoothing out the soil. And the light reflected something back into my eye, out of the earth. It was pale, thin, cylinder-like, crooked a little towards the left, like a cooled stream of candle wax that went rogue from its holder. And I leaned my knees forward in the dirt. I squinted my eyes hard into it, and like any child with any curiosity, I poked it with the end of my trowel. And that's when I noticed the nail. I don't think I could have ran any faster or screamed any louder, and despite any insistence from my mother that carrots can sometimes be white and the light just reflected into my eyes wrong, I couldn't stop screaming. That was until my father's calloused hands wrapped around my shoulders and raked me back and forth till I thought my neck was about to snap off, spitting in my face that there was no goddamn finger in our garden. Now, when I tell the story, everyone always wonders how I could have confused a vegetable with a severed body part. And I think that was why it wasn't until I was like 15 until I set foot into that garden again. I think it had something to do with my mother looking at me and saying, "Do you know how things grow in our garden? It's not the way that the sun hits our yard or how much I water them or any of those other things. It's not all sunshine and Mother Nature that lets things grow." After the war, gardens were so nitrogen deprived that they put blight into the soil so that their crops wouldn't wither away. So we took to the soil together and planted, weeded, labored over roses and potatoes. Lemons, lettuce, all the same. That is, until one of her reflective mornings, when her streaming coffee cracked to the ground and her hand clutched the arm of her white robe until it went pale and limp. And I'm grown now, so I shouldn't need someone to shake me out of my screaming when I see that her fingers are the same lifeless color of candle wax that scared me so badly as a kid. So I take to the garden instead. And it's so hard because I can't rip up a potato from the ground without one of her sands beating against my skull like a wasp or see an earthworm without shuddering a little. But I also can't forget the tune that she used to hum as she would trim the roses, or or the way that the sun would glint off her brow when she dug her trowel in next to the tomatoes. So I let it all blend. Because if I can create a world where living is dying and dying is living, maybe it won't sting so badly when one of those memories creeps back into my head. I think. Because if there's just one saying of hers that I can finally understand, it's that it takes sunshine and blood to make something grow. That a morning to some can be an afternoon to others. And that a finger and a carrot can be the same in a memory.